हेलो एंड वेलकम। आई एम नागेंद्र सिंह। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि आज बहुत बड़ी खबर बांग्लादेश से आ रही है। शेख हसीना जो कि फॉर्मर पीएम थी और जो देश से भागकर दिल्ली में थी और यहाँ पर वो किसी तरह छुपकर अपनी जिंदगी बचाकर रह रही थी, लेकिन आज जो ऑर्डर आया है कोर्ट से, बांग्लादेश की कोर्ट से, उसके मुताबिक उनको फांसी की सजा दी गई है। इसके अलावा बहुत सारे बड़े डिटेल्स बांग्लादेश से आ रहे हैं। हमने ऐसा भी सुना है और ऐसी खबरें भी आ रही है कि वहां पे बड़े बड़े सेलिब्रेशंस शुरू हो गए हैं इस डिसीजन के आने के बाद। अब हम इस पे बहुत सारी डिटेल्स आपको बताएंगे, क्या हो रहा है, भारत के लिए ये कितनी बड़ी परेशानी बन सकती है, क्योंकि भारत में अभी भी शेख हसीना रह रही हैं। सो विल सी हाउ इट ऑल टर्न्स आउट। नाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस diplomatic problem for India, what is really happening, what India should be doing, and what India could face, and what happens next for Sheikh Hasina if she is safe or she'll be sent back to Bangladesh. There are multiple big questions, and to resolve all these questions and give you the right answer and the latest updates, Ayan Nangsha Matra, he is with us, and he has been a reporter with Dhaka Tribune. And thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mitra. Well, this is a big development. A lot is happening, and we want to know all the details. What is really is the scene in Dhaka? How do you see this decision? What is your analysis of this Dhaka court decision?
Well, this is not a Dhaka court. This is an international court of, ICT Tribunal 1's delivery. But before going to that development, I would like to explain few things.
Right.
In history of Bangladesh, this is very, this is there's a trend of accusing, and there's a trend of, a vengeful politics. It happened with BNP regime against Hasina as well, because when PM Hasina contested her first election, not the first election, by the way, it's 2008 election, she
Right.
came straight out from the jail, and then, she went to poll and she contested the election that fetched her victory. So
Right.
there's a culture of accusing the rivals and silencing. Then it happened with BNP's Zarina, BNP's former as well. So
Right.
there's a trend, and if you talk about, I'm talking about the Begum Zia. She also faced different kind of charges, and she went to jail. So
Right.
this is very obvious in Bangladesh politics and in several other developing countries' politics, because there's an insecurity among the incumbent, and always they take the revenge whenever they take a chair. And
Right.
we can see the repercussions of it in around other developing economies, especially in the Southeast Asia as well as in South Asia. So coming to the today's incident, what happened earlier in the day, the ICT's bench, which is formed of a 3-member committee, is basically formed by 3-person. One person is drawn straight from, the tribunal that delivered the verdict today is basically equivalent to a high court. Okay,
Right.
so that is the kind of stature of that body. So it's basically 3 members, and yeah, 3-membered.
So,
Two,
the
yes, please, yeah.
biggest question that comes to mind when it comes about what really happened with the protest in Bangladesh, how Sheikh Hasina had to flee the country. इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद एक नया प्राइम मिनिस्टर आता है, और एंड द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट कम्स टू एवरीबॉडीज माइंड दैट who is he backed by? Is he being backed by China? Is he being backed by USA? Or is he being backed by India? Of course, not by India, because now we have Sheikh Hasina in India and India trying to protect her. So, whose hand do you see in this recent, diplomatic tension and the tension that we have in Bangladesh? Who is he backed
Well,
by? The current Prime Minister of Bangladesh.
okay, so Bangladesh doesn't have a prime minister. There's an incumbency which is led by an interim incumbency, an unelected incumbency. They are backed by severals due to their own interest and all. It's China is there, the US is there, the Pakistan is a big player in this game.
Right.
So when you say the protecting India, protecting Prime Minister Hasina, so India has a history of protecting the state leaders. It happened during the time of Maldives crisis. The Maroon Abdul Gayoom, all he had a telephone in his bedroom. So he
Right.
rang up Indian High Commission, and then India rescued him. So in Sheikh Hasina's case is different. India is not protecting, in a sense, a political leader, but a prime minister who is during her incumbency requested for a transit visit. So there's a technicality to it, and these technicalities and the nuances are, the playing ground for judicial appeals and moves. So what happens when Sheikh Hasina appealed India for this short transit visit?
Right.
India allowed it because this is a very eventual, and all of a sudden India got this request. India had to accept that, and if India doesn't, to maintain the state leaders' trust, India has to do it. I mean, I gave you the
But
examples
India is
of
stuck
Maldives.
now. India is stuck in taking a choice. Will
Yes,
India will India
you're right.
decide to send her out of the country? Imagine Pakistanis or other forces, ISI trying to assassinate her. This could be other possibility, and this can be a big blot on India if she dies in India or if she is being attempted to be killed in India.
Your friend is absolutely right. Because Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's case is altogether a different thing, I mean, than any other person's, like author Taslima Nasreen. What happened
Right.
in Taslima Nasreen's case? You can see. I mean, her party was the alleged her, and then there are a lot of things. And despite all of this, India gave permission to stay all the time. She has to renew it. But when it comes to Prime Minister Hasina, the case is, unless India gets a guarantee from another state that who
Right.
is issuing the political asylum or kind of security for her judicial purpose, India, sorry, India can't get away with this. Neither can India allow her due to the security concern and all. But as long as the judicial stops are there, the judicial complications are there, Bangladesh government and the incumbent, as well as the diplomatic corps, will have to find a merit to the case, which is
Right.
accepted by India. So far, India has gotten appeals and the letters from Bangladesh, which doesn't have a proper ground.
Right.
Okay, so Bangladesh, India didn't send the plane. She came herself with the state infrastructure and all.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you check what is the airline she used and all, it was all when she was in power. She was the prime minister, and she's still the prime minister as her party, and she claims. So technically, she is the prime minister. She was
Right.
not an ousted prime minister like what happened in the Imran Khan's case, or any other, like the Nepalese one. She was not
So
ousted
we are
prime minister.
not wrong. We are not wrong if we say that she is still the current prime minister of
Well,
Bangladesh.
certainly, when you have a very,
It's all
I
about
mean,
the politics and the diplomacy and the which country you are in that we can decide if we should call her the current prime minister of India or
yeah,
not.
certainly, it's
Sorry, of
not. I
Bangladesh
mean,
or not.
yeah. So the case of Sheikh Hasina is entirely different, because when you are a friend, you have a committed responsibility, and we
Right.
have seen seen since the 2008 election, Bangladesh and under Sheikh Hasina remained a friend of India. We had a
Yeah.
lot of bilateral agreement. But our relation marched fast in the name of ex-taste. I mean, we had a time. We even had a currency agreement. We are trusted trading in Taka. So
Yeah.
the Bangladesh economy benefited a lot from India's development. Similarly, India get a greater access. Our bilateral trade has 60 billion. But despite all of this, there are problems inside the incumbency of Sheikh Hasina. She trusted the wrong people. There are massive corruptions and malpractices. So
Yeah.
anyway, when you say that whether India has done right thing, accepting her request, I would argue India has done right thing, but India will be compelled to. India may get such a situation where India has to, India has to send her back from her territory.
So
but
what's
the
next for
judicial.
India? What's next for India? अब इंडिया को शेख हसीना को वापस बांग्लादेश भेजना होगा, और शेख हसीना, इंडिया will let her flee to some other country, or India will keep her here, but we would never know that which city or which part of India she is living in.
देखिए देखिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर शेख हसीना इंडिया में कोई अपराधी है नहीं. During throughout her staying here in 18 months, right? She hasn't
जी.
committed any crime in India. So India will not deport in that unless there's a technically right and sound request come from through the diplomatic channel.
Right.
So it's not short of any outsiders pressure or something, but the Bangladesh authorities, it's upon them, so they have to fix a proper short of and sounding a meritful case and plead through the MEA or India's authorities. So this is the technicality. And today you have seen the Sheikh Hasina's party, the Awami League. I was talking to them, the couple of ministers of the Awami League earlier. So they all, said this merit. There's no merit in this judgment, because two out of the three judges, one is drawn straight from the bar and bench. So technically, the bar people is one from the BNP's leader. He's a practicing lawyer there in the High Court of Bangladesh. So this is basically the judicial battleground now.
However, the problem still remains. Despite all the support from her party members, she is never going to go back to Bangladesh.
See, we can't say so. We can't say so because future is obviously unknown, and in politics, anything could happen at
So you
any
think she'll
any
go
point of
back,
time.
risking her life?
Of course, she won't. I mean, I'm sure she will abide by her country's own legislature. Yeah. So so she will. She said she believes in Almighty, and whatever Almighty decides, she will do that. And her legislature is very strong, I believe. And by the way, there's a prohibition and practice of death sentences in the past. Of course, I remained an admirer of Sheikh Hasina, but the kind of brutal malpractices and the kind of hegemony, there is completely denial of the people suffering. This kind of things I have seen in the past is also horrific. So I can't say like she won't be, she will be forever here, and justice will prevail. That's what I believe.
Okay, before we let you go, Mr. Mehta, the last
Yeah.
question: how do you see the future of Bangladesh, considering the entire, the politics of Southeast Asia, where even US is involved, China has a big role to play. So, what is the future of Bangladesh now?
Well, I see future or foresee future on the basis of couple of assumptions and variables. So there are 2-3 variables in front of mine. I believe that election is happening in the end of February, or that's what I believe. So if I assume, that is one variable. So if election happens, I believe the BNP is coming to the power, the main opponent of the. It's like BJP and Congress there.
Yeah.
So Bangladesh is always a playground of two big powers. So if the vacuum remains, it will be BNP. They will be. It's a 300 unicameral parliament. So unicameral means not like our Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha or Pakistan Senate and the National Assembly. So they just have one house, and they have 50 seats separate for the women.
Right.
So will come with a massive victory. But one of the allegations against India is that ANFIL, the US-led election observer body, earlier didn't came to observe the election of Bangladesh. They didn't recognize the 2018 elections and the 2023's election in Bangladesh. So that was one of the thing, like India, China, somehow China congratulated, and then China had a presence in the after the election, but India's involvement with the Awami-led politics is one of the things. Like the Bangladesh alleges that India could never be a friend of Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh. They only remained up to the level of the Awami League circuit. That is the allegation
Right,
by
right, right.
Bangladesh's opponent.
Let's
Yeah.
see. let's see how it all turns out, and if Pakistan and Bangladesh will be friends again. Things will change very rapidly after whatever has happened
Yes, so
today.
yeah,
Yeah,
I wrote it earlier that there's a chance, because whatever happens by this incumbency, the BNP will undo this, and they will do new kind of, the exactly which the Hasina government distance from. They will bring in them into the diplomacy, the main circuit diplomacy, like countries like D8, especially Turkey and Pakistan will come into the picture. Turkey for defense things, and Pakistan for several other bilateral and logistical things. They will try to maximize Karachi port and Pakistan's other items, including cosmetics and garments.
right,
So
right.
there's a cotton market, but boycotting India is not technically possible, because
Yeah,
India is so huge. They have a all all sides border, and the people have the decent dependency on India. You think of like a medical treatment of the common people, of
yeah,
lower middle class and the middle class. They can't afford a treatment in Turkey, somewhere in Europe. Okay, they
yeah.
obviously will have to rely on Kolkata and Vellore, the places for affordability and this thing. So Bangladesh politicians will also have to be mindful. At the same time, Indian practitioners, especially in South, in Delhi and in Kolkata, will have to mindful of Bangladeshi people. They have to treat that all those Bangladeshi
Right.
tourists. I mean, when I say tourist, it across healthcare, business, and everyone,
Yeah.
they have to respect them in order
Right.
to maintain a good relation as well as their trade, because it will construct their future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Matra, and
Thank you,
explaining all
Nalini.
the details and in depth knowledge and the analysis of what really has happened. Of course, we pray things get better in Bangladesh and Bangladesh comes to the path of recovery. Of course, politics ऐसी चीज है जो हर चीज को और ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट कर देती है, बट बांग्लादेश पे अभी पूरे साउथ ईस्ट एशिया, और जैसा कि अभी मिस्टर मैथर ने बताया कि इवन टर्की विल बी कीपिंग एन आई दैट व्हाट इज रियली हैपनिंग इन बांग्लादेश. विल बी ब्रिंगिंग यू मोर अपडेट्स एंड डिटेल्स अबाउट what is happening in Bangladesh, and there are bigger details of Bihar election, and also of course what is really happening in Delhi blast case and the latest update. This is Nagin Singh for One India.